The Kitt Peak National Observatory Visitor Center is a nonprofit through its parent organization, AURA, the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy. Hello, thank you for checking out our Kitt Peak sunset video. I'm Brian Robinson. I'm a public program host representing the Kitt Peak Visitor Center. Every day our evening guests drive up while there's still a little bit of daylight left, and they're in time for a scrumptious sandwich dinner and also in time for sunset. So we make sunset a component, a feature of our evening programs. So while you're perched at about 7,000 feet of altitude, soaking in one of the most beautiful sunsets of your life over the majestic valleys and mountains of the Sonoran Desert, your program guide will take the opportunity to demystify some of the behaviors of light propagation as light travels through the Earth's atmosphere. And the sun provides a stellar example of such phenomena. That's a sun pun. Sorry. A portion of our sunset presentation talks about how the sun itself seems to kind of change color at sunset time versus midday when the sun is more directly overhead. But at sunset, it's a deeper orange and is even going toward red. And there's two factors at play there. The distance that sunlight has to travel through the atmosphere to get to your eyeballs where you are on Earth, and the way different colors of visible light across the rainbow spectrum react differently to the challenge of penetrating the gaseous medium that is the atmosphere. To flesh that out a little bit, we're going to go over to the 2020 COVID lockdown production studio. That's on loan from a museum. This represents midday sun. Earth, sun, overhead. Sun only looks smaller because it's far. That's about 100 miles of atmosphere wrapping around the Earth's surface, and the node is your vantage point. At midday, the sun has the shortest path through the atmosphere that it's going to have all day, and that's about 100 miles of travel to get to you. But the world turns, and at evening time, at sunset, we've rotated, and you're here. And when you look through the atmosphere, you're looking this far. That's how far the sunlight needs to travel in atmosphere to get to your eyes. It's about 10 to 1, 100 miles midday, about 1,000 miles at sunset. That's not maybe 10 to 1 the way I drew it, because I traced a dinner plate with a Sharpie. But color is what we want to know about. When there's that much more atmosphere to travel through, it exaggerates an effect called scattering, where the different energies, all the different frequencies of light, scatter by colliding with molecules, oxygen and nitrogen, in the atmosphere. And they all scatter to some degree, but the more energetic ones have more opportunities to collide in the same amount of distance because of their higher energetic, more activity. So the top half of the spectrum scatters away and drops out of the direct path, leaving yellow, orange, red, the colors of the sunset. I have to still decide whether or not these are going to a art show or a science award contest. That's one of a few characteristics of light that we'll talk about with our guests during sunset, and these tidbits end up applying conceptually to the observing we'll do through the telescope after it gets dark. Thank you very much to several of my visitor center coworkers who supply these beautiful sunset photographs. Of course, we can't recommend more passionately that you come up to the mountain and get these images straight into your eyeballs for yourself. Sunset is a portion of all our evening programs: the nightly observing program, the dark sky discovery, the night of the marvelous moon, and the creme de la creme overnight telescope observing program. The Kitt Peak Visitor Center brings the science of astronomy to the public through exhibits, daytime tours, and nighttime observing programs. This mission is funded solely by your patronage and generous donations, and we thank you for your continued support. See us online at visitkittpeak.org.